For more on this issue, we would like to bring in our Weekend Prime panel. Joining us today, Tony Katz, host of the syndicated radio program, The Tony Katz Show, and Democratic strategist Kristal Knight. Thank you both for being here, and let's jump right in. So, Kristal, we just saw this. President Biden saying he will defend Taiwan if invaded by China. And pretty immediately afterwards, his comment refuted by the White House. Kristal, is this smart policy by President Biden to put out such a strong message? Some might say a warning to China. And what kind of message does it send when the White House refutes what he just said right afterwards?
Yeah, so I think it is a good policy to put something out, aligning what America's stance is with Taiwan. I also think it's good policy to make sure that the White House engagement team, the communications team is on board with whatever the president might say ahead of any type of major interview like this 60 Minutes interview that we just saw. I think what the president has done and what he's continuously done is signal to would-be threats that we are, a strong power, and that we will hold all of our allies in the same regards as we hold our own country, meaning that we will defend them, we have their backs, and we're prepared to defend or fight should the fight come to not only the Taiwan soil, but here in America.
Well, Kristal, do you think it would be smart to get into a war with China over Taiwan?
No, absolutely not. I don't think that that's smart. But I do think what the president is doing, again, is stating what the U.S. position is. We all know that, China is a major threat to this country, and not only this country, but also the region where they sit. And so I'm not a pro-war person, and I don't think that Joe Biden is a pro-war president as well. I don't think that we will, have a war with them, but I do think that it is important that he puts, positions America and positions our foreign policy to, again, let would-be threats know that we are prepared to defend should that happen.
Kristal, I hear you. And Tony, I want to bring you in here. Smart move for Biden to have such a strong stance?
He did the same thing back in May, saying that we would defend Taiwan. The problem is that when the White House has to come out and correct him, the White House has to immediately put out a statement. First of all, it's a taped 60 Minutes interview. They didn't know this was being said. Secondly, they're going behind the back of the president to correct him because somehow they know better. It would lead a lot of people to ask the question, who's really in charge here? And most importantly, it looks like an unbelievable blunder to the world. The policy of the United States regarding the One China policy regarding Taiwan specifically is the idea of strategic ambiguity. This is not ambiguous. This is stating something. This is putting things on a war footing. The president has done this twice. Let's not say that he has done something strong and powerful here. I believe that Taiwan should be able to decide its own course and should be able to engage its independence. I also believe that China is salivating at taking Taiwan and bringing it back into the fold because they saw exactly what kind of country Joe Biden leads vis-a-vis the evacuation of Afghanistan. This is bad stuff, especially when the White House has to correct him.
Hey, I want to make sure
I actually agree with you. I don't think that the president should state something and then the White House have to immediately refute it. This has happened over and over again throughout the last 2 years of his presidency.
Yes, it has.
And so it's not just something that, the president has to tackle. It's something that the White House comms team, engagement team as well has to tackle. They know about these interviews ahead of time.
Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure we have enough. Panel.
It has to do with the fact that Biden is weak as a leader, and they have to constantly correct the weakness. That's the issue. That is factual. Just lay it out.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.